So what we're going to do, I'm going to give credit where credit's due. Bleacher Report put together a top 50 list of SummerSlam matches of all time. I'll go through the list. I'll read the match. We'll give it either a thumbs up or thumbs down and see if we agree. And if we really like it, we'll go in depth about it a little bit. So let's start at the top and try and run through these.
If you're not a wrestling fan, just let you know that this is the biggest party of the summer.
The biggest
It's the tagline of their pay-per-view for years since it's the beginning of it.
And in a way, it used to be.
Not so much anymore.
It's not. Because this is one of their big three, and this is probably their second biggest show.
Yeah. Do you remember back in like 95 or 96? They actually had like the pool party. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like they would cut to the, because remember dude had the floating candy bar and T.L. Hopper. Remember he had the floating candy bar and he said, I'll eat it. And he grabbed it and took a bite of it. Yeah. Alex the Pug Porto was in that. If you can remember that gimmick, you're fucking phenomenal. But yeah, go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're
biggest
good.
party of the summer. We're going to talk about the 50
biggest
matches.
parties of the summer's matches. All right, so number 50, the Mega Powers versus the Mega Bucks, 1988. That would have been Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage against IRS and Ted DiBiase.
No, that was IRS wasn't there then. That was DiBiase and I think Andre.
Was that?
I think so.
Well, yeah, that was okay.
I think
Wow.
so,
See, you had to correct.
IRS wasn't there yet. Mega Bucks, I think that was Andre and DiBiase.
Okay, we'll go with
you might have to search that, but I want to say it was Andre.
Okay.
But double check me though, because I could
Okay.
be wrong. But Mega Money Incorporated was Money Inc.
Money Inc.
was him and IRS. But I think Mega Bucks was what they called him, and it might have been. If it wasn't Andre, I'm definitely wrong. But for some reason, I feel like Andre was part of the Mega Bucks.
Not Mega Millions, even though.
Even though that's up to like Mega Billions now, but either way, I'll take some of that.
Oh yeah.
Just saying.
You were correct, sir.
Him and Andre. Were
Him and
Mega
Andre,
Bucks?
yep.
Okay.
With
Virgil in their corner. And it's your local flea market as we speak, probably right now.
And it says here that Bobby Heenan was a manager of that team.
Yeah, because he was with Andre for years. So yeah, that was definitely his guy.
Okay. All right. Well, so do you obviously remember that match more?
I do. It was story filled. I mean, back then, in the '80s, everything the big story was Hogan and Savage being this big time. You took your two top guys and made them a tag team,
Right.
which was something they did later on in years with like Stone Cold and The Rock and like Dude Love and Stone Cold. Like they would always do that. That was like a random thing. But back then, it was kind of unheard of.
Yeah.
And then of course there was the turmoil between the two because Macho said that Hogan had lust in his eyes over Miss Elizabeth. So that's how that whole story went down eventually. But it was a fun match for what it was. I mean, 80s wrestling was 80s wrestling, man. I mean, there'll never be anything like it.
No.
You know what I mean? They'll never be able to duplicate 80s wrestling.
And I wish they could.
I tell you.
All right.
Thankfully, we can still watch it on the network.
Hell yeah.
Well,
On the cock.
On the cock, yeah. Not mine, but on TV. Unless I have a projector. Never mind. We're not going to go there. Never mind.
Well, here's the green screen.
That's going to give it to you.
All right. So number 49 from 2016 for the Raw Women's Championship, we have Sasha Banks versus Charlotte Flair.
All right.
Take it or leave it.
So, I don't hate Sasha Banks like everybody else seems to. I'll give credit where credit's due. Sasha's a solid worker. Charlotte, phenomenal worker. I give her credit.
She's a flyer. So.
Yeah. I mean, it runs in the family. I'll say, well, it runs in the family between her and her dad. I will not say anything. The other son, unfortunately, he passed away. I won't say anything bad about him. But David Flair was an awful professional wrestler. And if you doubt me or you say I'm talking shit about wrestling, go back and watch his stuff. You'll think the same way.
God.
But for the match that they had, it was good.
Yeah.
I will say those two did have good chemistry as far as in the ring.
All right. Number 48 from 1995, 1-2-3 Kid, a.k.a. X-Pac, versus Hakushi.
I don't know that one.
I don't remember that.
I can't say that I remember that one off the top of my head. I enjoyed Hakushi's stuff as far as a wrestler. So I'm sure him and Kate had a good match.
I'm sure, but yeah, I don't remember.
But off the top of my head, I can't say, oh, that was a phenomenal match. I don't know.
So, moving on. From 96, we've got the Boiler Room Brawl.
Oh, okay.
Undertaker versus Mankind.
That was a fun match.
That was a good-ass match.
That was the first of its kind, too.
It was.
So it was something that we had never seen before, and they went out there and they legit killed each other.
Yeah, because you got two guys that are tough as fucking nails and don't pull the punches.
Yeah, and they filmed a lot of that, like I think it was the day prior.
Yeah.
And then they went and did, of course, the stuff live on the pay-per-view in the ring. But no, that was a lot of fun to watch, man. That was a cool match. Very cool concept.
Absolutely. So now, number 46 for the Universal Championship, Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins, 2016. If I'm remembering correctly, that was the finals from when that Universal title was created.
It would have to have been,
and that's when Finn won, but he got injured from the buckle bomb into the railing.
Mm-hmm.
And so he relinquished it the night.
Honestly, it's funny that you go back to that match now and you look at all the stuff they've done recently.
Well, you look at it now, the fucking World Heavyweight title tomorrow night, Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
How about that?
2016, you're looking at, like, that's the whole big thing. He's been waiting 7 years to redeem himself.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, sometimes they do long-term storytelling. But no, those two always mix really well in the ring together. So, yeah, I'm sure that was a phenomenal match. Yeah.
I enjoyed it from what I remember of it. So, number 45, for, in my opinion, the best title in wrestling, the Intercontinental Championship.
The workhorse title.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
1989, The Ultimate Warrior versus Ravishing Rick Rude.
So the only reason why I could say, I remember the match, but the only reason why I could say it probably wasn't as good is because Warrior was very limited in what he could do in the ring. The
Or what he
character
wanted
was,
to do.
The character was fun.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
character was great. Rick Rude was a phenomenal worker, great on the mic. He played the shit out of the character. It's just, I think luck of the draw of who you had to wrestle that night probably wasn't the best, but I'm sure they had a fun. I remember it in my head, but
Rude carried that angle too. I mean, obviously.
yeah.
And-
Remember the pose down?
Yeah, absolutely. And in my opinion, Rude's one of the guys that should have been champion. Should have been heavyweight champion.
We talked about that.
Yes,
too.
we did.
He was definitely on that list of people. Yeah.
Yes. Cannot. He's one of the greats.
Yep.
All right. So, number 44, a non-title match of two of my all-time favorite teams, because I do love tag team wrestling too. The Hart Foundation, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Bret Hart, versus the Brainbusters,
Oh, yeah, that was a good
Tully
match.
and Arn.
Yeah. That was a good match.
So
That one, which, and back in that day, they didn't have a thing like that called this, but today, that would be called a show stealer.
absolutely.
A banger, if you will. Because those two teams could go.
Well, yeah, I mean, as much as Tully was a prick in real life and whatnot, and Arn, these two teams were fucking scientific. They were, fucking brawlers. They hit hard. It looked good.
Brett was your technical wrestler. Arn and Tully were that too. But Anvil brought in that brawling style.
So
but it all meshed well together. Right?
Yeah, you got Arn and you got Anvil, who were the brutes, and then you got Tully and Brett, who were the technical, and they could just tear it up together.
Absolutely.
Sadly, the Brainbusters did not last very long in the WWE. They went back to WCW, rejoined the Horsemen, I believe. I don't know if Tully retired at that point or not, but anyways. So
Kind of sad because they were a good tag team.
they were. I love it. And then having Bobby Heenan in your corner too, just
Dude, anybody that was under that under the Heenan family tutelage had probably the best manager. Listen, I heard this the other day, and Paul Heyman said this on
yeah.
interview on ESPN.
I know what you're talking about.
And the guy said to him, he said, "What about Bobby Heenan?" He says, "Nah, he's dead. Doesn't matter." Now, a lot of people said that, and I'm not saying that I'm sure that Paulie didn't mean it that way,
It was in character, tongue in
Right.
cheek.
but that is the greatest manager of all time.
Yeah.
Was Bobby Heenan.
And Heenan was laughing at that. I guarantee you.
Now it is Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
Now it is. But of all time, you talk about greatest managers, Bobby Heenan has to top your list.
Absolutely.
He has to. With Jimmy Hart coming in a close second.
Well, and that's the funny thing too. Someone called Jim Cornette managed the Midnight Express. They're gonna get heat for that. But a lot of people call him the greatest manager, and I'm not. Bobby Heenan will always top that list. And that, you ask anybody, I don't care. Heenan was the greatest manager of all time.
That dude managed everybody.
Yes.
Seriously, like King Kong Bundy, Andre the Giant, Rick Rude.
Well, the Heenan family itself,
Yeah.
the
It was
stable of
huge.
guys.
Yeah, it was huge, man.
So, if I'm correct, I'm thinking this next one, number 43, it is for the WWE Championship, 1997, The Undertaker versus Bret Hart. I think that's the one where Shawn went to hit Bret with the chair because he was the special ref and cracked Undertaker
yeah.
to start their feud.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what that one was.
I think anytime those two were in the ring, that was good.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, there was, like, Undertaker had chemistry, really good chemistry with a lot of people, and I think Bret was one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, those two actually worked really well together.
So, number 42, during the 2001 Invasion angle. Invasion angle? I sound real fucking weird in country when I said that. I don't know.
Invasion angle?
Invasion. But it was for the WWE
That was
Championship.
his Jimmy Wayne Gang impression.
It's The Rock versus Booker T. Rock over in that one. He beat Booker T for the title. look, man, to me, it was nothing to write home about. I mean, it was just big because The Rock won the WCW title, you know.
I feel like Booker's first couple of years there were not saying because I love Booker T. I think he's a great wrestler, but I think his first couple of years in WWE were not good.
Well, it didn't help. Wasn't it him that wrestled Buff Bagwell? That first foot and fucking just shit the bed?
Yeah. So I think it was more or less. I think for Booker, and I'm not speaking for him, so I don't know the man personally, but I think it was more or less just like you got thrown into a pretty big situation. Like, and let's admit, those WCW guys coming to WWE, they were outsiders. They weren't Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, but they were the outsiders.
Yeah, and Vince let them know that they weren't.
Absolutely, Vince let them know this is your place, this is your spot, and a lot of these guys don't like you because you're coming into. Look how many guys came over there and took away from other people's TV time.
Yeah,
and so a lot of them guys had a lot of heat on them coming in.
Absolutely.
But let's be honest.
All right, so our next one, number 41, from 2009, the Intercontinental Championship, Rey Mysterio versus Dolph Ziggler.
I'm sure that was solid.
I'm sure it was. I mean, you got Rey Mysterio, who is probably going to go down as the greatest luchador of all time.
Yeah.
And then you have Dolph Ziggler, who, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated wrestlers.
Who will not get enough credit for his work.
No, not at all.
Enough. But the dude is top notch, though. I feel like, given the right opportunity, he could have been a several-time WWE champion.
Yeah.
But we know
should have been. Yeah. So, number 40, 1993. This was a six-man. The Smoking Guns, Billy and Bart Gunn,
wow.
and the Native American Tatanka,
wow.
versus one of my personal favorites, Bam Bam Bigelow, the Beast from the East, and the Head Shrinkers.
That was probably a fun-ass match.
I bet you it was.
Do you remember when Tatanka had like an undefeated streak, though, like for the longest time?
Yeah.
Like that dude never lied. Like they built him strong.
The dude
like
jack all that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. But the
Nothing
dude
paid off.
No.
Nothing paid off.
No. And that's the saddest part. Like, he should have won the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
When he worked Shawn Michaels, but he didn't. But the dude, like, had this huge undefeated streak. Never won. I think did he win the tag belts when he was in the Money Incorporated? When he
I think he may have, yeah.
And that was, like, the biggest thing I think he did. But I think he was good as a heel or a face, though. I enjoyed him as a heel.
I liked Tatanka. I did.
And I'll say today, Tatanka still works on the indies and still works hard.
Yeah.
A 60-some-year-old man. Still works hard.
Do you ever watch any of the Dark Side of the Ring stuff? I need to watch the Bam Bam Bigelow episode.
It was good.
I love Bammer. He's one of those great big men, and we've talked about big men before.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just one of my guys that just, did not get enough credit.
Mm-mm.
So
No, that was a good episode. They've all been pretty decent so far. The Bash at the Beach one, I feel like they were reaching. It should have been an hour.
the fucking Marty Jannetty one next week's gonna be
That's going to probably break the internet. I have a feeling that Marty Jannetty's going to get arrested that night after that show shows up on TV because that dude, I guess he's like a hot mess, dude.
Have you ever? I was friends with him on Facebook for a short time.
I worked a few shows with him. I never really talked to him,
Right.
except for just, hey, how long goodbye type of thing. But I've heard stories. Yeah.
All right, so number 39 from 2015 SummerSlam. Winner takes all, John Cena, fucking Mr. Superman, you can't see me, versus Seth Franklin Rollins.
Seth Franklin Rollins. I'm sure it was good. I mean,
Yeah.
I know I've seen all these matches, but to sit here and tell you that I can tell you every one of them, I remember everything about them, I don't.
No, and I think that's just, some of these, they do stand out in your mind and you remember a lot from them, and some of them...
But they don't call him Big Match John for no reason.
No, they don't.
And Rollins has always been good.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure it was a good match.
All right. Number 38, one that I did not remember until I heard Jim Cornette talk about it on his podcast.
Okay.
The Lion's Den match.
Oh,
Ken
wow.
Shamrock, Owen Hart.
Yeah, I remember that, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from what I remember of it, it wasn't a bad match.
No.
I mean...
Those dudes beat the shit out of each other. They really did. Like, when they did the, in Stu's Dungeon. Remember that match,
Yeah, the dungeon match, yeah.
Yeah, those were fun.
Yeah.
Those were fun, dude. I'm not gonna lie.
Now, this next one, I'm sure was a great fucking match, but I hate to say it, I don't remember a lot from it. For the WWE Championship, it was a three-way dance. The Rock versus Kurt Angle versus Triple H.
I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember
SummerSlam
that
2000.
Yep, I remember that match.
But with three people in there with the caliber of them, it's going to be good.
Absolutely.
All right, so the next one, number 36, the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy and fucking
Dynamite.
Thank you, Dynamite, versus the fabulous Rougeau Brothers.
Okay, so for gimmick alone, the Rougeaus were fun because they were Canadians. They were the all-American boys, of course, with Jimmy Hart. And then the Bulldogs were just like, they were ruthless, man. Back then, they were some ruthless motherfuckers, dude.
Davey Boy's strength, and I mean, take nothing away from how strong that fucking.
Dynamite Kid was strong as shit, too.
But he was just a mean little motherfucker.
Yeah, dude. He was the Benoit of back then. Are you allowed to say that name anymore?
Well, speaking of, we're about to, because number 35 is for the Intercontinental Championship from 2002. Right. Rob Van Dam versus the.
Right, the guy's name that I just said that I'm probably gonna get canceled for.
The Canadian Kid Killer, Chris Benoit.
Oh wow, I don't remember that being his whole name. You know what? I'm sure that match was good though. I'm just gonna leave it at that. We're gonna go on to the next one.
Oh God. So here we go. Number 30.
Bible sitting around here somewhere.
I know.
Okay. I wanted to never mind. You got what I was doing. I'm just as bad as he is. Fuck it. We're in trouble now. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was gonna place it next to you just in case just in case. You know what I mean? You asshole. I'm sorry.
It's all right, buddy. That's why we're friends. All right. So the next one, number 34 for the $1 Million Championship, 1991. You see Virgil get his comeuppance against Ted DiBiase.
Wait a minute. Time out. You said this is Bleacher Report's top 50 best SummerSlam matches, right?
All time.
How in the fuck did you guys rank Virgil in this thing? Was it because of the story? Because Virgil, who was treated like shit for years by a white man, so you know where the story was going, basically, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mm-hmm.
So Virgil finally got his comeuppance against old Ted DiBiase, and you said this is one of the 50 best matches.
Not only was it one of the 50, but it's almost in the middle of the pack. Number 34. Well,
next.
If that one don't get you, we've got number 33 from 2009, D-Generation X, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and who was this the year they had Hornswoggle was? But they were against Legacy.
What year was this again?
2009. I'm assuming, would Legacy have been all three of them? Randy, Ted DiBiase Jr., and fucking Randy Orton? No, not Randy Orton. Or was it Orton?
At that time,
Orton, DiBiase, and Rhodes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It might have just been DiBiase and Rhodes, probably, as the tag team.
Probably.
But honestly, I can't remember.
Yeah.
To be honest with
that
you,
shows
it might have been Orton and Rhodes. Because I don't think that, if it wasn't Orton and DiBiase, it would have been Orton and Rhodes. I don't think it would have been DiBiase in that. I feel like it would have been that combination.
So I'm going to put these next two together because, in my opinion, I bet they were show stealers. So for number 32, the Intercontinental Championship from 2001, we got Edge versus Lance Storm. And then number 31, Chris Jericho versus Dolph Ziggler, 2012. I bet you those both stole the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lance Storm is another one that's underrated. I don't think he gets enough credit.
Lance Storm was a solid ass wrestler. It was just he had no
right.
He was just a guy,
but
he was a damn good wrestler.
Damn,
and that's all you really needed. That was it.
Yeah. All right. So number 30, 2015, Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. I can't do it. I can't. I'm not Paul Heyman.
I mean, they have a decent chemistry in the ring.
Yeah.
When Brock would back in the day when he would actually work matches.
Yeah.
Now it's just kind of like 57 F5s. 27 German suplexes, and that's it. If they had a match, I'm sure it was good. I don't remember. And if they didn't have, it was just 27 F5s and 24 German suplexes. Then no, it wasn't that good. You know, but Taker's Taker though.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm sure he's on that list quite a few times.
Oh yeah. So next, number 29. It doesn't say, but I'm assuming it's a handicap match. You got Bret Hart versus Doink the Clown and Jerry the King Lawler from 1993.
Why is that on the list? Why is Virgil and Doink the Clown on the 50 best matches? You know what? I like the Doink gimmick. I think it was different. And that's what I think was cool about it. It was a fucking clown, dude. He was an asshole.
Heel
popping balloons and shit and just making kids cry and stuff, and then Happy Doink came along, and it was like, oh, it was still fun. And then you got a midget, you know, they weren't swinging on a fan though, but you got a midget, you know, and
Dink,
right? It was Dink, Doink, Dink, and Pink and Wink and Stink. Was it Stink? Or I think it's something else. Two in the Stink, one in the Pink, or two in the Pink, one in the Stink, whatever. I think he was one of the fucking midgets too. But we'll let that go. Why is that on the list, though? You know what? I don't. You know what? I don't know.
And Raw rolls on.
It does. Yeah.
So number 28. This one makes me question too. The Love Her or Leave Her match.
Oh boy.
From 1999. Test versus Shane McMahon. obviously when Test was in love with Stephanie McMahon.
Yeah, and then you know what happened there.
Yeah.
So, she unwillingly got married to Triple H, but then somehow actually really did willingly do it. Yeah, storylines write themselves. Anyway, I'm sure it was good for its time. I don't, listen, Shane's the big spot guy. That dude, no fear whatsoever. He'll jump off a cage that's 75,000 feet in the air.
And he'll be okay, but then he fucking does a drop down fucking leap over and
he blows out his quad. Like his dad did in the Rumble match. We slid in and broke both his quads.
And then sits there and no-sells it.
I'm not going to laugh at that because I'm going to go fucking bust my quad tonight. But I'm just saying, I don't want to do that. But I'm not laughing at the injury itself. I'm just saying.
I am.
It's just something, man. I'm not sure that... Again, that's Doink and Virgil and Test and Shane McMahon on the 50 best SummerSlam. Okay, right. I don't know who wrote this, but hey.
Well, here we got a match from 10 years earlier. Okay. Number 27. The Rockers and good old Ariba himself, Tito Santana, versus Rick Martel and the Fabulous Rougeaus.
I mean, I can see that being a fun match, though. Like, Martel was solid. Martel was always solid. Tito was a good worker, though. He was. Tito was good.
Which I'm assuming that sounds like probably the time that they did the split, the Strike Force, Tito Santana, Rick Martel.
And he wasn't El Matador yet.
No, not yet.
Yeah, he didn't have his little
pool. No, he didn't fucking have a horrible racist gimmick of... So, after that, number 26 from 2001. Putting a hat on a hat. A ladder match for the Hardcore Championship where anything and everything goes.
All right.
Jeff Hardy versus Rob Van Dam.
I'm sure that was good, though.
They probably just killed themselves.
Yeah. With an appearance by, like, probably Raven and Saturn and all them guys around that time because they were all feuding for the title, so yeah.
Well, now as we get deeper into this list, we're halfway there, and it looks like they're giving more explanations on why they chose these matches, but I'm going to skip that
I like
part.
an explanation on Virgil, Doink, and Test. Just because. I want to know about Virgil and Doink the most.
All right, halfway there, number 25 from 2019. It's a submission match for the Raw Women's Championship.
Right.
Becky Lynch versus Natalya.
I can see that being a good one.
Natalya is so good, dude. She's so underrated. And, you know, I know I say that about a lot of them, but...
Had a hell of a career. Like, I understand, I think she's in her
Twilight.
I don't want to say her twilight. I think she's more in that stage of the career where now she's going to help put over the other talents. Mm-hmm. But I don't think she wants to be that person yet. But she is. I mean, let's face it. She can get in there with anybody and pretty much... Her and Rhea killed each other on Raw. Like,
a month ago. I love that.
It was a solid fucking match, dude. Like, Natalya is very, very good. She can... Her and Charlotte always have good matches together. You can put her in there with somebody and she's going to pull out a good match out of that person.
Absolutely.
As much as she's maybe not ready to be in that stage of her career yet, that's where she's at. Yeah. But she's still good. She can still main event today.
Absolutely.
Without a problem.
So, just 2 years removed, number 24, Edge versus Seth Rollins. Edge on his comeback tour.
Yeah.
I bet you that was
good.
Yeah, I love Edge personally. I think he's one of my favorite top 10 definitely. And Seth Franklin. Yeah. You know a story behind that?
No.
Okay. So again, I know. I love Jim Cornette. Listen to his podcast.
I know Franklin the Turtle.
I do remember Franklin the Turtle. But they were talking about how flyers can get messed up from time to time with names and whatnot. And apparently at a house show, instead of it being Seth freaking Rollins, they printed it out Seth Franklin Rollins. So now I can't refer to him anything other than Seth Franklin.
Wow.
So.
Yeah. You know what I just thought about when you said flyer and the name's wrong? Don't tell me. Don't ask me why this happened. Do you remember in Mrs. Doubtfire when Sally Field was watching him on the show that day after everything went down in court and stuff, and then the mailman came in and he says, "Oh, Mrs. Doubtfire," and that's what he called her. I don't know why that popped in my head, but when you said wrong name and a flyer, I just thought of that. I don't know why.
Well, to kind of just go off that a little bit, the letter that she reads
was from Youngstown, Ohio. Yeah. I forget the little girl, but yes, from so and so from Youngstown, Ohio. You know.
I wonder what the reasoning behind it. I wonder if somebody that directed or whatever had a little...
Always, when people nod Youngstown, you always wonder why. Like, what affiliation do they have with Youngstown?
Hey, man, Youngstown's just fucking...
It's cool as shit, though. Don't get me wrong. It's just you don't hear it a lot, though. Like, but they've done it on, like... Well, Al Bundy's done it before, obviously, because he's from here. Yeah. But, like, even Trick or Treat, the director, that was from Warren. I think you said you know the dude, right? Yeah. But it was, like, Warrensville or something. Like, they made it, like, sound. And I was like, that was kind of cool, dude.
Yeah, there's always Youngstown. I mean, fucking Bruce Springsteen wrote a song about Youngstown. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and then the first Arby's in Boardman, that was the first Arby's ever.
Yeah.
Fucking Warner Brothers.
The old nasty brown sign. Remember that old
ugly looking motherfucker.
Yep.
All right, we're getting off our list.
That's what we do.
I know.
Rabbit hole.
I don't give a shit. It's our fucking show. So, number 23 from 2008. Big match, John again. John Cena versus Batista. We can move on.
Yeah.
So, this is one we talked about earlier. Number 22 from 2002. The unsanctioned match. Shawn Michaels' big triumphant return against Triple H. That was a good fucking match.
Yeah. You got two guys that are close friends. They've worked together for years. You're going to have a good match with that person. Because
you just know each
you have
other.
Chemistry, exactly.
You don't even call spots or just talk about it. You just remember and go.
You just know each other's shit. You're going to flow. Everything's going to work out. And you know it's going to be a good match.
But that is one of my top 5 SummerSlam matches.
I can see that. That's a good one.
All right. Oh, from the good to the not so good.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
21-96 WWE Championship. Shawn Michaels versus Vader. The infamous match where something went wrong and Shawn legit made Vader cry backstage because Vader was a sensitive guy. Leon White was actually a very sensitive guy.
Yeah. He'd kill you, but he was a sensitive guy.
And Shawn was just a fucking prick at that time.
That was in his drug days and his just not being a nice person. And I feel like, man, Vader never got a solid run in WWE.
No, he did not.
I don't feel like he wasn't the big Van Vader we remember from like WCW.
No, with the fucking badass helmet, the blue smoke, and
dude, Vader never got that, and he should have.
No,
he could have been world champion easily.
Yeah,
and I feel like he just never got the right. He didn't have the right people behind him. Let's just be honest. He didn't have the right people behind him. So.
All right, number 20 from 2020, the year of COVID, and this was the Thunderdome. It was
2-man enter, 1-man leave. Oh wait, that's the other one, right? Mad Max in the Thunderdome. My bad.
All right, Tina.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry.
Just don't let it happen again.
My bad.
All right.
Who runs Burger Town? I know. Master Blaster. Just saying. Okay, all right, I quit. Just saying. I love that movie too. Just saying. That's a new laugh I have not heard yet.
God damn it.
That's the Revenge of the Nerds laugh, everybody. That's when Snotty drinks the shit, or no, I'm sorry, Ogre drinks the shit and then does the laugh. That's what happened. You drink the little shit at the end of part 2, and you're now a nerd now. Oh, shit.
Number 20.
I'm going to let that one go. Next one.
Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, great. Have a good day.
Number 19. Okay.
All right. Okay, 19. This is a classic. 92 for the WWE Championship. Ultimate Warrior versus Randy Savage.
So was that the one where that was Savage's career on the line, basically?
I believe so, yes.
And then Elizabeth came in and they did the big thing with Sherry and stuff and all that shit, too. Was that the one or no?
Well,
no, that was later on.
Yeah,
right?
because this is the one where Flair and Perfect got involved.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And I only know that because I'm actually looking at reading. So
you're right, though. I was thinking more. Remember the match?
That's where he went from being heel to face because Elizabeth came out and got Sherry off his ass.
Exactly. Yeah, that was some great storytelling.
Yes, it was.
That was great storytelling. As far as that match, I don't remember that one though. I do, but I don't. It's there, but I don't remember. I remember the other match more. But that's just me. But that was WrestleMania, though, wasn't it?
Yes.
That match was WrestleMania.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Correct, sir. So this one, 2009, number 18, TLC for the World Heavyweight Championship. Champion Jeff Hardy versus a young, brash, up-and-coming CM Punk.
Oh, wow.
CM Punk's first heel turn here, where he cheats. I don't know how you really cheat in a fucking TLC match. Maybe a low blow, I don't know, but he wins and becomes champion. Wow. I like me some Punk.
I do too, man.
I'm not. I mean, yeah. All right.
A lot of people don't like him, but I feel like he's been a boost to that show. He's going to leave it that way. Yeah. And I will say that when we get to talking about AEW later,
which is coming up,
I will just say that I prefer Collision over Dynamite.
So a lot of people do.
It's just a more faster paced, fun wrestling show as opposed to Dynamite, where I feel like it's slower. And I'm not saying people don't work as hard, but Collision has that feel of a good, solid wrestling show. That's just my opinion. We'll talk more about that later.
We will. Number 17, Trish Stratus versus Charlotte Flair from 2019. I don't get the thing about not Charlotte, excuse me. I don't get the thing about Trish. I get it. She came in at a time and, when fucking TNA was Well, she literally came in with TNA in the group.
No, but the thing is, yeah, well, you're right about that. But, okay, so when she came in, it was a Diva era.
Yes.
So she kind of stepped up and made it more of a women's wrestling. Her and Lita were responsible for that. And I think that's why she gets the big nod. I think, if I remember right, her and Charlotte, not Cher. Who the fuck is Cher? Well, that's not Cher. If I could turn back time, I would have said that. But that Charlotte and Trish probably had a good match. I think Trish's current run has been not as good.
It's been doo-doo. I'm gonna lie.
It's not as good. And I don't say that as far as her wrestling. I think it's more or less the direction of the way they've been telling the story. I think the only person that's benefited the most out of that is Zoe Stark, which has helped her. She got rubbed from a veteran, and she's been put in bigger match situations with like a Becky Lynch, which, let's face it, probably within the next 4 to 6 months, Becky's gonna be the champion again.
Yeah.
So, that gives Zoe Stark a nice rub to work with people like that. And of course, she'll work her for the title. She'll beat her, but it'll be a nice rub for her. That's who's benefited out of the whole thing so far, to me.
So